Professor Swaran Singh, the many questions, many dilemmas. One is it right now the questions are over. How long should you even continue with this conflict? And if you now put boots on the ground, be it even elite commando units on the ground, the US in the past have not had great experiences. We all remember what happened, in Somalia many decades ago. In that sense, this just takes the conflict into uncharted territory.
There are large number of puzzles in most wars, but in this war particularly. So, for instance, you asked me when the war is likely to end or how long it can continue. There is no clear answer as to how long it will continue. Both sides have been taking maximalist posturing. Even though President Pezeshkian and IRGC has also said that they will not attack neighboring countries unless they are attacked from those countries' territory. So enormous uncertainty, and in that sense, it's also puzzling to imagine a special forces operation. I can understand lifting national leaders from Noriega to Maduro, or killing like Bin Laden, but thinking of securing or airlifting or taking away enormously dangerous enriched uranium, as much as 400 kilogram, which is the estimate we are hearing in media, or centrifuges, for example. This is mind-boggling. How can one think of such a special forces operation? This is like sci-fi kind of a movie imagination, which I can't imagine how that can happen in that sense. And there are also reports of Delta Force special operation already having failed in Iran, and some US soldiers are in custody of Iranians now. So this could be aiming to rescue them or something. So all I'm saying is enormous of speculations, conspiracy theories, and facts which are difficult to believe. But sending special forces for such an operation is beyond my imagination, because how will they ensure as to where exactly this entire quantum, whether it is in one place, whether it is in secure boxes to be airlifted, how do you handle with the lifting uranium? And what we are noticing here is United States has escalated the conflict even further by strategic strikes on, I understand, 4 oil depots. And I saw some videos on media as to how large size fireballs are being created out of that kind of attack, which is, I think, also not just going to impact the economic sort of heft or capacity of Iran, but it's a psychological warfare. It is going to create disruptions of urban fuel supply, transport. It could create enormous acid rain or pollution in urban centers. So it's a psychological, upping the ante as if. And now, if they are sending special forces into some of these areas, would then they be doing something like this, hitting oil depots, which are going to be also equally a challenging, environment for special forces to operate in as well. So it's, as I said, enormously puzzling and difficult to believe what is being said and what is being done. I hear that despite Iranian pledge not to attack neighboring countries, 1 or 2 places there have still been strikes. And then there are conspiracy theories whether Mossad is doing it and blaming it on Iran. Very difficult to imagine, but conflict apparently from the American side by today's strikes is showcasing a strategic escalation. It's not any sign of de-escalation like Iranians did by saying they will not attack neighbors, because that was the only leverage they have. I mean, their attacks on Israel are not very effective. They are not able to attack Americans either in their own territory or even on their assets like aircraft carriers and so on. So hitting these neighboring countries was only thing that was able to lead to Iran, regionalizing it, internationalizing it, creating panic at the global level. And if they wanted to give that kind of pledge that they will not attack neighboring countries, that was a gesture made from that side. That made most of us believe that maybe behind the curtain there is some indication of talks, and that kind of public posturing changing is a sign of that hopeful reality. which might take some time to come over ground, and then they could really say we are shifting from conflict to now negotiations again. But now the Americans have hit oil depots, and the reports of consideration of sending in special forces, uphill task, unimaginable task to think of being assured. I mean, this is also in some ways leading to some kind of a reinforcement of speculations that Iran still has 400 kilos of enriched uranium up to 60%, because if Americans are still thinking of undertaking special operations to procure, secure, and lift that and take that away, that means it was not destroyed during strikes of June last year, or Iranians had already, moved it elsewhere compared to where attacks happened. So the whole claim of United States having obliterated, as Trump had said, Iran's nuclear capacities and establishment is there for reconsideration now, to revisit it, because they are saying that there is possibility of Iran still having uranium enriched as much as up to 60%. Plus, they still have saved and moved away their centrifuges, which means they could carry on with their further enrichment of uranium. But I can't imagine how a special forces operation can ensure that they have able to, they managed to safely take away these assets, because these are dangerous materials, not easy to really think of taking them securely out of any country. And nothing of that makes any sense to me, according to me, except that if the other speculative report of Delta Force operation failing and Iranians holding some of those soldiers, if this operation is being contemplated to do something about that and protect them, secure them, etc., that is the kind of operations that one has seen in the past happening. That is a feasible kind of operation which can deliver results on the ground. But taking away 400 kilograms of enriched uranium is mind-boggling.
Right.
But that's how Trump is. I mean, he could ask or give tasks which are beyond imagination.
Beyond imagination is what is under discussion as we speak, and a Russian involvement, that's not exactly fresh news, but the fact that you have Britain trying to analyze what exactly hit their base in Cyprus will make this a bipolar war.
Good question.
That's right. First, quickly to respond to the special forces, what we know traditionally is Fordo, Nantas, and Isfahan are three major centers. Where this operation is taking place is not very clear. And second, the options that such a special operation will have is definitely to take some nuclear scientists along with, because ordinary soldier will have no idea what is uranium, how much enriched uranium has to handle in what fashion. So they will have to carry some nuclear scientists with them, and then scientists will either tell them to airlift that whole thing, or they will have to chemically dilute whatever sort of enriched uranium they find, so that this becomes completely unusable as far as weaponization is concerned. At best can be used for power generation, etc. To your second question of Iranian drones having even found with Russian technology, I think fundamentally this is a very important news to say that very stringent primary and secondary sanctions to isolate Iran, isolate Russia, have failed in that sense. So it's not only Iranian drones going all the way to Russia or being locally produced in Russia, they are integrating Russian technology into it. That really means that there is a sanctions resistant ecosystem that Russia and Iran has built over a period of time, and that merger or integration of Russian technology into Iranian defense production systems may not be limited to only drones. Second, may not be only limited to Iranian forces. They could also be going the way what is known as Iranian proxies. And Hezbollah has been fairly active, challenging and attacking Israel in that sense. So, that is a very interesting but even dangerous signal that there is an ecosystem which is not which is defiant or resistant to sanctions regime, and is able to sort of integrate through technologies, and is going to really make things much more dangerous in coming times. So here is a lesson. that sanctions, historically, my argument has been sanctions have never worked. Sanctions have encouraged the search for alternatives and actually made your adversaries and target countries even more indigenously capable. India itself is a great example of how sanctions have pushed our search for modern technologies over years and decades. So, that kind of discovery should make them really look for even other weapon systems that potentially could have integrated that kind of technology. And if it is Russian technology going into Iran, it could also be Chinese technology going into Iran or Iranian technology going into China. That creates a very, very sanctions resistant ecosystem, which will make Iran much more capable to resist and stand against the United States.
Right, stay with us. We have some more news that's coming in. Two Iranian cargo vessels sailing from China carrying what analysts believe could be rocket fuel precursors. According to a report by the Washington Post, the ships recently departed from the Gaolan port in Zhuhai in China, a major hub for industrial chemicals. Both vessels are operated by the Islamic Republic of Iran Shipping Lines, a state-owned carrier already under sanctions by the US